It's alive! It's alive!
Hey guys, Ash here coming at you today in Raid Champion Guides. Welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're going to spotlight Deliana, who was a free champion at the time that she was added to the game. I'm going to highlight her on my free-to-play account, on my main account, show you two different builds that I use with Deliana, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you some lore on Deliana as well at the end of the video. Now let me know if you like the lore, if you don't like the lore, because I will continue to do it in the future at the end of these videos, or I'll never do it again. So we'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below regarding that. So Deliana, I first want to start up not lore here, but I want to show you the original sizzle reel of Deliana being added to the game. I thought it was pretty cool. Hopefully you guys enjoy. All right, so the Raid Shadow Legends Deliana sizzle reel for you guys. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what this champion actually does here, right? Is she any good? So her A1 ability is an AoE with a leech, okay? So in AoE, a 60% leech on an A1 for 2 turns, actually a really high land rate. Nice to have those, I don't want to say passive heals, I guess they're active heals, but those heals vis-a-vis the debuff are really, really nice. Leech used to suck years ago. Now it's pretty solid to have, especially against like Hydra heads where there's multiple enemies alive, right? On the A2 ability, Withering Scorn, this is a 3-turn cooldown, attacks 1 enemy. You have a 100% chance to place a decreased resistance for 2 turns. Not a lot of champions have decreased resistance. If the target is under a block buff's debuff, also applies a debuff spread effect, taking any decreased resistance debuff on the target and placing it on all enemies. So potentially, if they're under block buffs, it's going to spread that decreased resistance, which is a pretty powerful ability to have. Now, block buffs is on her A3 ability, another AoE attack, so an AoE on the A1 and an AoE on the A3. We're going to place a block buffs as 100% land rate when you have it booked out. Heals all allies by 5% of their max HP for each active block buffs debuff placed by this skill. Now, if a block debuffs, or block buffs, excuse me, is blocked or resisted, it's going to fill her turn meter by 10% for every time that happens. So it's actually a really solid ability and know your place. I love block buffs, again, especially for those challenging faction wars, Doom Tower waves with a bunch of Siphies and Valkyries, and especially against the Hydra heads as well. Now, I love having that turn meter fill if you do get those resists. Keep her going because the downside is it's a 4-turn cooldown. We would love this ability to be on a 3-turn cooldown, so that does hurt her a little bit in terms of her overall power ranking, but she gains a lot back on this really nice passive, right? So Magnificent, the passive effect, which is not on the 4-turn cooldown, this is active all the time, increase this champion's accuracy by 2 for every 1,000 HP this champion has. It's a really powerful ability, especially in the early and mid game when getting enough accuracy can be troublesome to say the least, can be challenging, right? So we have that built in, that's incredible, right? So I'm gonna show you the build I'm using on my free to play. She doesn't have a lot of accuracy, but she has enough HP to where I'm gaining at least 100 extra accuracy. Active effect, this is active every 4 turns. It does have a 4-turn cooldown. Places a big version of Strengthen on all allies for 2 turns every time this champion's HP drops below 50%. It's a really, really nice passive. Both the passive effect and the active effect of said passive are really strong in this champion and often overlooked. She also has a really nice aura, HP in all battles by 33%. Her base HP for an HP-based champion is pretty solid at 20.5k, give or take. Her defense is also pretty good in terms of her base stats at 1211. So let me go ahead and show you her on my free-to-play account here first, and then we'll show you the build again on my main account, then we'll do some lore on this champion. So I have a broken set, a speed set, and an accuracy set. Just because the HP converts to accuracy doesn't mean we want to totally neglect it. Let me just push myself over a little bit here and flip myself around here. There we go, much better. So we have her at 111% crit rate. This champion can actually put out some decent damage. I'm going to show you guys too on my main account. She can put out, even without a ton of crit damage, just with 2 AoEs, she can put out a decent amount of damage, right? 169 speed, a little slow, but I have crappy artifacts on this account, man. It's free to play life, right? We have 57k, so we're getting, again, over 100 bonus accuracy just off of the HP. That's really, really nice to have. So in reality, we're rocking around 230 or so accuracy on this champion. So really solid there. Her defense is okay as well. In terms of, and by the way, I don't even have her booked on this account. Not that you should not book her, forgive the double negative, right? Not that you shouldn't book her. But because getting this block buffs to 100% is going to be really, really powerful and really imperative to capture the full value of this champion. But I will say that I've been getting utility out of her even without the books, because I just don't have any legendary books, right? And again, her passive doesn't require any books either, so you can still get the full benefit of that ability as well. And still a 50% leech on the A1 isn't bad to have. Now, I do have the masteries done on this champion, so these are my free-to-play masteries. I went down and I picked up War Master as my tier 6 option, just to get a little bit extra damage out of this champion. And I love going down and picking up Retribution to have a chance at counterattacking, placing more of those leeches from the A1 ability. It is an AoE attack after all, okay? So I went down defense and offense. There's no issues going down support. You can even go and grab the HP, because that's going to give you accuracy as well. Or you could just go the accuracy route. You're going to get 10 accuracy here, and you're going to get, well, you know, 1.5 or 2, a little bit more than that off of the HP, but of course, more survivability. She does have, again, keep in mind, she does have that heal. Heals all allies by 5% of their max HP for each block buffs debuff placed by this skill. So even healing masteries, not the worst idea on this champion, but I would probably just go with extra accuracy, especially if you need it. As we always say here on the channel, guys, you know, go with what works for your build. If you have plenty of accuracy on this champion, you don't have to worry. Plenty of HP on this champion, just go defense instead of support, because you don't need it unless you're really itching for those extra little bump on the heals. So we can also go down and pick up Master Hexer. Now, this will be a very valuable mastery to pick up on this champion. So for me, the decision really comes down to Retribution and Cycle of Revenge, or Sniper, which will work on the leech on the A1, and Master Hexer, a chance of increasing the duration of the block buffs debuff. That way we can have it up, you know, more often, because it is on a 4-turn cooldown. So really, for me, flip a coin, right? Flip a coin there, depending on, you can go either way, okay? In terms of artifacts, I have a speed and accuracy set, as I mentioned here. I'm just trying to get as much HP on her as humanly possible with a little bit of accuracy, and try to get her a little bit faster than, you know, the abysmal speed that we have her at right now, right? So stat priorities are going to be HP, speed. I like to go for a little bit of crit rate. It's not necessary, especially on the build I'm going to show you in just a second, but I like a little bit of crit rate there, and then the accuracy will come anyway, right? So go HP on the banner. You're going to be getting 12 accuracy off of this banner, which is really nice, because all those HP does stack thanks to that passive. We went HP on the amulet with accuracy as a substat. We went HP again on the ring with the blood shield, so give this wearer a shield worth 5% of the damage dealt after attacking. Really love that. We went crit rate on the accuracy gauntlets, but again, guys, I will reiterate, nothing wrong with just going HP, especially if she's dying, right? Keeping her alive is going to be first and foremost. We have HP percentage on the chest, we have speed on the boots, and you guys can see the substats that we're going to kind of go for here. Basically, just trying to do the best with what we have, right? So let me go ahead and show you guys the build that I'm using on my main account. It's a stun build for some control. Be right back. All right, guys, so here on the main account, we have Deliana in all her glory. Stats a little bit different here. We have about 73k on the HP, 2400 on the defense, 100 and 100 on the crit rate, crit damage, 224 on the speed, and 283. Again, we get that plus 140 or so accuracy from the HP as well, so this is going to be viable in the end game. We also have her in a stun set, because she does have 2 AoE attacks, help with the control, especially in waves. We did go with, because we have her in a stun set, we didn't go offense tree, we went support and we went defense. So we came down here, we did pick up the Master Hexter, but we didn't go for Sniper. You can make the case either way on that. We did go for the extra HP because we already have enough accuracy, and most importantly, tier 6 option is going to be Fearsome Presence. That's going to give us an extra 5% chance at landing those stuns vis-a-vis that stun set from those artifacts. So again, this stun is not predicated on our accuracy, even though we have plenty of accuracy. So on this build, we went crit rate, I believe, on the gauntlets. We went HP percentage, and we went speed on the boots. We went HP, or resistance actually, on the banner to get some more speed, I'm sure. Some HP and HP again. Again, if she's staying alive and landing all her debuffs, nothing wrong with going crit damage as well for a little bit extra damage on that amulet. Just depends on where you are in the game and what team you're using her on. Let me go ahead and show you really quickly, guys, a team that I was just using Deliana for. It was a Doom Tower Secret Room wave, and it was, I think, HP-based champions only. There it is. So it's force HP champions only. So we ran her in the lead, again, for that great aura, and we're going to see how her damage stacks compared to some of these other beasts here on the team with her. We have, let's do the rundown here. We have Deliana, we have, what's-his-face, Varl, we have Nizana, we have Versolf, and then we have Husk on the team. All right, so let's see what we can do here. And most importantly, you're already seeing that decreased resist. It's already spread to everybody off of her A2, right? Which is really nice. This team does a good job at like locking down the enemies. And again, we have block buffs on everybody, so I don't even know who we're going against. Obviously, Black Knight has plenty of buffs. Nizana has buffs herself. Barath the Blood-Soaked has a bunch of buffs. So we don't have to deal with it, you know, for the most part, between her stun and her block buff ability on her A3. Hopefully we'll have enough control here. Mixed, you can see all those stuns landing too, right? I mean, really, really nice control to keep the team A either not taking turns thanks to the stun, or B, just making sure that they are both decreased resistance as much as possible, that we can land all of our debuffs, or just having that block buff so we don't have to deal with the unkillable on Black Knight. We don't have to deal with the continuous heals to increase defense, etc. So guys, let me come back at you guys when we get to the third wave, because I do also want to do a quick damage check. You can see all those leeches landing off our A1. The thing about Deliana, actually, before we do that, as this fight ends, guys, let me pull her up on hellhades.com. He gives her a 3.5, a very versatile champion. She's not going to excel necessarily, besides Hydra, in any one area, but in terms of overall protection, support, and again, control in a stun set, she's actually a pretty dang good champion. She's not an S tier legendary. I'm not sitting here telling you that. She's a champion that you can get utility out of, especially if you need those block buffs. You need a good stun champion. Worth investing your legendary books on this champion? It's hard to say, right? If you need that skill set, sure, go for it. But I'm not, again, I want to be very careful on this channel. Generally speaking, I don't want to say everybody's the best champion in the world, right? She's not. She's a slightly above average champion who can definitely help you out in a lot of areas. If you could use her skill, her kit, right? And if you need that block buff to land, especially against Hydra, sure, she's worth booking. But you can get utility out of her even without it. So she has a 0.35 multiplier on the A2, which is an average ranking. And she has a 0.3 HP multiplier on her A3, which is an average ranking. So I will say she gets average on all of her multipliers, but she actually can sneakily stack up that damage, especially with Retribution and all those counterattacks with all those AoE attacks. So I'll come back at you guys at the final screen here. You can see leeches and stuns everywhere, some of them probably from my man Husk as well. Be right back, guys. All right, guys, so the moment of truth. We landed so many stuns thanks to that Fearsome Presence and stun set here. The moment of truth, I said Varl, my bad, Vassal, the Seal, not Varl the Destroyer. Either way, guys, we have 646, just barely missing out on the top damage spot, and look at all those heals as well. So almost 750,000 on damage and almost 750,000 on heals overall from Deliana, and all those stuns as well. Truly a very, very underrated, I would say, partially because she's free legendary champion out there. Let's go ahead and read the lore really quickly here, guys. As fierce and beautiful as a thunderstorm in early spring, Deliana is a paragon of high elf virtue. She is an heir to a noble tradition of Avaria. Avaria, I think, is the High Elf Kingdom in Raid Shadow Legends. A battle mage without peer. A loyal servant of Lumia who knew no other purpose than to protect Teleria from the wicked. She smites her foes without mercy, yet would lay down her life again and again to save the innocent. Deliana's origins lie in the turbulent age of the Great Wars, when the legendary struggle between darkness and light consumed entire continents and shattered nations. A daughter of one of Avaria's most respected strategii, she had the best teachers money could buy. She enjoyed conversation with some of the wisest scholars, and her innate magical talent was nurtured with the greatest care. Her future looked bright. Countless suits sought her hand. The Royal Academy's doors were open to her, and her homeland prospered. Alas, that carefree existence did not last. War broke out. Led by the demon-spawn lords, the legions of Siroth surged forth and sought to destroy the order built by Lumia's faithful. The elves mobilized to face this dire threat, but the opening stages of the conflict went poorly for them. Many cities were lost, and hope waned by the day. Deliana's father perished in one of the first battles of the war, as did many of her friends and kin. Aggrieved but not broken, Deliana cast aside the trappings of her past life and joined the royal army, where she could put her mastery of magic to use on the battlefield. Her birthright ensured position of importance was swiftly found, while Deliana's sharp acumen allowed her to excel and lead her forces to victory in many desperate situations. Through years of bloody toil and sacrifice, Deliana honed her talents and rose through the ranks until she became the Archmage of Avaria and the Strategos in her own right, a worthy successor to her father. But it was not until the Battle of Whispering Dale that her true destiny was unveiled. There, Deliana led a counterattack against a horde of undead and demon spawn. Outnumbered many times, she personally commanded the vanguard, her staff shining like a star amid the black tide of evil, and felled the necromancer who held the death in thrall. With his end, the skeletons and zombies collapsed all around the elven warriors, and the demons were forced to flee before the vengeful blade of Avaria's finest. The Archmage herself had been gravely wounded in the battle. Her warriors had almost lost all hope of helping their beloved commander when a flash of light, pierced the evening gloom. The Arbiter arrived. Moved by Deliana's sacrifice and impressed by her skill, Lumia's herald offered her a position among the immortal champions of Talaria. It was an honor no true elf could decline, and Deliana accepted it gladly. She asked only for the one night to bid her final farewells to the men and women who fought by her side and ascended to the ranks of Lumia's eternal host with their first light of dawn. There we go, guys. Let me know what you thought of that lore. Let me know what you think of Deliana. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And as always, take care, guys.